So this week what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into a video on guilds, guild sizes, guild perks and buffs, and kind of show you that I do believe smaller guilds can succeed in Ashes of Creation. Now I have seen comments in Discords or Reddit and various places, saying this is going to be basically another Zerg game where guilds that are Zergs just smash everyone and it's just going to be the same shit and it's going to be the same situation with PvP. Now I don't believe this to be the case, and if you watch this video and you listen to what Steven said and you look at the systems Intrepid are trying to place in the game, I believe you're going to see a nice balanced mix of numbered guilds within Ashes of Creation, and all this is going to do is benefit the game in the long run. But what I'll do now is I'll get into them systems, I'll get into them buffs and perks and show you that smaller guilds aren't just going to be speed bumps in the road, that they truly can thrive and survive in Ashes of Creation and get shit done. Look at guild levels for one. Every guild in Ashes of Creation will level, and as the guild levels it's going to get skill points, but you can either use these skill points to level up the number of people you're going to have in your guild, or you can use them to get passive abilities. So that's going to put you in a situation where do you go for the manpower, do you go for the Zerg, do you go for the feet on the ground, as many as you can get, or do you go for the closer knit community? To have all of the maximum buffs on your guild, the ideal number is going to be about 30 to 50 people. Now any more than that and you're going to start to lose these combat buffs. So if you are a smaller guild, this really does benefit you, and it benefits the fact that you're going to have these combat buffs. This already shows that they're thinking about smaller guilds and that this game will have a mix and a variety of different sized guilds that's really going to benefit this MMO scene in general, and is going to benefit Ashes of Creation. So think about it. For example, going out there and just a little theory here and just kind of imagining a situation. If you're in a guild and there's 9 of yous out from your guild strolling, you've only got 40-50 members, so you've probably been in calls, you've probably communicated better, you're very close knit and you kind of know each other's strong points and weak points and you know how each of us works. Now I've had the experience in this with over 20k hours in Ark, and there's a lot of intense PvP situations there, so knowing your guys ins and outs and knowing whose strong points what really does, it defines the outcome of a battle and who's going to win. And in this, if there's 9 of yous out there and then you bump into the dominant Zerg guild on your server and there's 15 of them, bear in mind they don't have all the buffs you do, so you're already on the up there. And take into consideration some of these guys, there's 300 of them. How do you know they're communicating? Are they communicating all the time? It's unlikely. Some of these guys might be on a first out and just jumping into a party, going to check out a raid or go to PK some people, whereas you guys are communicating, working well together, you know each other better. Now if you are on the same skill level, on the same page, and your communications there, you are gonna smash these guys, no doubt about it. Obviously I know if you came up against 300 of them you're not, but in a situation like this, that's where them benefits really do work on the smaller guild side. They really work for you, and I think that's really going to be key when you're out and about in this open world PvP game. So getting into augments, these are one thing that really will help the smaller guilds in my eyes. Forget passive abilities. Augments, well, what are augments? When your guild is a higher tier and you've got knights and officers, you'll be able to augment them once you unlock these, and what that'll allow is, say you've got a ranged ability, you could change that to a melee ability. Say you've got an ability that has a set damage, with these augments that could double or triple that damage output, or it could increase healing. Now if you think about that and you have the passive buffs and then you have these augments for your knights and officers, and mainly your knights and officers are going to be guys they're going to be leaders of your guild, you're going to know how to fight with them. You really do have the advantage, and it really gives us the benefit to have an equal playing field with these Zerg guilds. And not just that, if you think of, if we refer to the wiki, the cooldowns on abilities, if you've got all the buffs and perks that I've just spoke about, and then you add in that you have decreased cooldown, maybe 30% less cooldown or 40% in user using the same abilities, you can fire off that ability before them, and that could be the final kill and blow. And that little tweak there, that little advantage could get used the kill on multiple occasions, which keeps you going, keeps you alive, and keeps you benefiting from their resources and gives you the win. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pop in a clip of Steven talking about guild respecing, and then what I'll do is I'll explain that to you and we'll dive into that, and I'll show you why I believe this is another possible benefit and something that is pretty hardcore, against these bigger guilds that could be really negative towards them.
a guild be able to relocate / respec their skill points? Like if they reduce their members and want to specialize in a more passive skill / augments instead, can they do that?
So guild skill point allocation, my initial position on that is it cannot be reallocated. However, that is subject to testing. And the reason for that is there's specific benefits that come along with your allocation choice. And it would be a little gamey if, in my opinion, you could adjust your skill allocation to meet the immediate need in the moment that's required. So to speak, like how you allocate skills can determine the size of your guild. And if you can fluctuate that to be, appropriate for specific circumstances like a castle siege or a guild war, you can just kick out a bunch of members, reallocate skills, and become super like definitive force. I don't like that idea.
So, with what he's saying there, it's clear that they are not for just allowing these 300-man Zerg guilds to just manipulate the system and tweak and kick members and change these certain things, which benefits the smaller guilds yet again. Now, what you do there is you put people into a situation where they're like, should we be a 300-man guild? Should we be going down this path? Or should we get the smaller guilds? Should we be smaller guilds? Because not every encounter is going to be a massive siege with, hundreds of people. Sometimes you will just knock into these people in the wilds, out about in the world, and people will get frustrated if they're rolling around. These 300-man guilds do have cliques of 16 people that'll play together, and if they keep getting steamrolled by these smaller guilds, it won't look good on that Zerg guild, and it won't benefit their reputation. So I think this is a real game changer, and it's something Stephen and Intrepid have clearly thought about, and everything about this game, the balancing, they're clearly thinking about before it's even launched. They're actually putting these things into the structure of the game. And another thing, you're not going to have much fast travel in this game, or it's very limited fast travel. So if you're out and about and we're in one of them situations where you bump into some of us again, or another smaller guild, and they use their family system to summon their 8 people, and you of the Zerg guild summon your 8 people, and when you come up against the knights and officers that have these passive abilities, that have these augments, and if you're on the same skill level, it's clear who's going to win that battle and who's going to lose out there, and it definitely won't be the smaller guild in this situation. So just to back my words up, so it's not just me being over opinionated or me spouting unfactual stuff, I'm going to drop in a clip of Intrepid and Stephen speaking about this and speaking about their vision for Ash's creation, and then we'll dive back into the video again.
The thing that's a huge aspect of probably something you and I both, Doc, have experienced in the past is with games that really emphasize Zerg play. One of the primary components is the ability of that Zerg to form in a very short period of time and port immediately to some location that needs their attention, right? I mean, that's part of what Zerg play is. Yeah. And I think in our game with removing that fast travel mechanic and including, meaningful travel that takes time to reach certain places, you're not going to see as much of a development of that Zerg play. If a caravan is moving out from a city and a large guild doesn't catch wind of it until it begins moving, they likely will not have the time to organize, form, and reach that point by the time that caravan reaches its location.
So, like I've said in these situations, and like Stephen's explaining there, you really do need to be in the right place at the right time to win these situations. And if you can't just summon your Zerg and just go full, foot soldier manpower on the floor and get to these guys to defend, this is going to affect your reputation. This is going to affect how good you are and how successful you are. Don't get us wrong, I know there will be Zergs just lurking around, hundreds of people just running around, and in them situations, yeah, you're probably going to get run through, but at the same time, I'm not having a pop at these bigger guilds. They are vital for running nodes, and these guys will be established and will have real power and control over these nodes, and guilds that are smaller like ours, or the people who don't want to be in the bigger ones, will help support this. But if there's a guild that decides they're Zerg and they're just going to attack everyone and be a nuisance, it just shows that these things that I'm talking about give us the chance to fight back and give us the chance to balance out or level out the playing field in our favour just a little bit to help us. So on another note that's totally different, let's talk about guilds and guilds memberships. If you are in a guild on that account, so your character, so you've got one character in our guild for example, if you mech another character on that account, you can then go and just join a bunch of other guilds. Now the problem with that is, if you're a 300-man guild and you have multiple members doing this in multiple guilds, one, they could be spying, they could be in the opposite guild, the activity levels ain't going to be balanced. If you need to call upon these guys and they're in multiple guilds, well, it's not going to be ideal, and it's going to be hard to keep tabs on who's actually there to benefit you, or who's spying, who's there just to, you know, do the Game of Thrones cutthroat shit. And with the smaller guilds, they won't really have this problem. If you are running a guild correctly and there's only 30 to 50 people, you're going to know where you guys are, you're going to know who's playing, you're going to know who's active, and you're going to know who's contributing. It's going to be much easier to track and a lot less stress, and I really think stuff like this could hinder the bigger guilds, and it will get very political and very cutthroat and very Game of Thrones-esque. Whereas the smaller guilds, you have control over this, you know who you guys are, you are really close-knit, and I think this is just another thing that can potentially benefit the smaller guilds in Ashes of Creation. So don't take this video the wrong way. I don't want you thinking I'm just hitting out at big guilds, because honest, I'm in contact with some big guilds and they're really decent people and there's a lot of good guilds. But don't get me wrong, there's gonna be some bigger guilds that are there just to make people's life hell, but that's the way of the world, and it's just the same with being online. All I'm saying is, don't give up because you don't believe you've have the chance to survive, or you've read some toxic guy's comments or some bullshit online, because I've seen it myself. It's just not the case. Look at the facts and look at what Intrepid's trying to do here. Not just that, every guild, regardless of size, will play a key integral part of Ashes of Creation in the world of Veta. You're going to have these big Zerg guilds running nodes and, you know, having control, who need patron guilds of maybe smaller guilds, who need people in the freeholds, in the zone of influence, protecting that area for when they're at war with other nodes. So the balanced out size of guilds, whether it's 50 man, 100 or 300, when they're all working together and all in sync, it's gonna perfectly balance out. The only reason I've made this video is to kind of show that you do have a chance, and the game is for everyone, not just Zergs, and that you ain't gonna get steamrolled. I do really like what they've done here, and I can't wait to get into Alpha 2 and see how this plays out. So to finish the video up, what do you think about the size of the guilds in Ashes of Creation? How do you feel it'll play out? Are you going to be in a bigger guild? Are you going to be in a smaller guild? Do you think what I've said is maybe wrong and that Zerg guilds will run it? I'm always wanting to hear other people's opinions, even if it differs from mine. I think it's good to constantly question stuff and learn from that, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how the game will play out, and I'd love to see your feedback in the comment section. If you've enjoyed the video, drop a like, it really does help out the channel and, you know, helps with growth. If you want to share this video, go ahead and do that, and I do appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.